What's going on? Welcome back into the channel. In today's video, I'm back with another tactic test. The subject of today's tactic testing video is going to be a tactic that has been built by the one and only Knap. Across the past few iterations of Football Manager, Knap has proven himself to be a bit of a master tactic creator, often building tactics that can bend or break the game. In today's video, you're going to see one of his tactics that relies on a solid back four. It will have a one-man defensive midfield, a three-man central midfield line, and it has two players at the top of the pitch that will hopefully score you the goals to win you your league. Today's tactic is the WOF 4-1-3-2. If you want to get your hands on this tactic, as always, there will be a link in the description down below where you can download the tactic and have a go for yourself. Now, before I break this tactic down and show you what it is really capable of, now is a really good time for you to hit the like button right here on this video and also subscribe to the channel. I'm currently on the mission to get to 10,000 subscribers before the release of FM25 in March. Right then, let's have a look at what this tactic is capable of. I'm going to run a single season sim using Liverpool, Brighton and Ipswich. Let's have a look at some results. To start us off with the results roundup, we are going to look at the Premier League. Now, as all three teams that are tested do play in the same division, it makes sense for us to look at the Premier League as a whole before we go into each individual team. So let's kick things off by looking at the league table, and we can find that Liverpool are champions. They would play 38 times, win 33, have 2 draws, 3 losses. They would have a goal difference of 112. They would have 101 points. That means that they would win the league from our second place team, Brighton, which is also one of the teams that we have tested. Brighton's record would be 38 games played, 29 games won, 3 draws, 6 losses and a 65 goal difference. They would finish on 90 points. So, okay, they would finish 11 points behind Liverpool, but if you look below them in the table, they would finish an impressive 8 points ahead of Manchester City. Further down the table, we find our third tested team, which is Ipswich. They would go on to play 38 games. They would win 11, draw 7, lose 20, have a minus 31 goal difference. They would finish on 40 points. Now, that may not seem significant, but actually, Ipswich are projected to be relegated at the start of the season, and they would clear the relegation zone by an impressive 10 points. If we look at some of the other stats in the Premier League before we move on to Liverpool's other competitions, João Pedro would be the top goal scorer across all 3 clubs. Virgil van Dijk would have an average rating of 7.80, and one other thing that I missed off there was he actually scored 19 goals using this tactic. In terms of assists, Trent Alexander-Arnold would lead the way with 15. You'd have 9 Player of the Match awards for Van Dijk and Van Hecke. Alisson would keep an impressive 28 clean sheets. Let's have a look then at Liverpool's other competitions. So, moving across from left to right, Champions League is up next, and Liverpool would go on and win the Champions League. They would get through to the final and face off against Real Madrid, where they would win 4-1. They would get goals from Salah, McAllister, Robertson and a Vallejo own goal to give them a 4-1 victory. Going across to the next one, the FA Cup, they would be knocked out in the 5th round by Brighton and Hove Albion. In the Carabao Cup, they would also win that competition, getting all the way through to the final and winning 1-0. They would also finish runners-up in the Community Shield. Let's have a look at some numbers in the data hub just to show you what this tactic is really about. So in terms of goals per game, you will get 3.32 as an average rating at Liverpool. They would have 21.11 shots per game and a pass completion ratio of 86.34. Let's have a quick look at their squad just to show you where the goals and the assists really came from. So Mo Salah would get 34 goals from 58 appearances and 8 assists. You'd have Chiesa with 31 goals and 7 assists. Virgil van Dijk would get 27 goals from a total of 82 appearances across the season. He would have 6 assists also. You'd also have Jota on 20, McAllister on 20, Darwin Núñez on 17 and Szoboszlai on 17 goals. Also, Konate, the other centre-back, would play 80 times. he would chip in with 16 goals. In terms of the assists, you'd have 27 assists for Szoboszlai, 23 for Trent, 17 for Curtis Jones, 16 for Andrew Robertson, 13 for Gakpo and McAllister, and 12 for Harvey Elliott. Next up, let's take a look at Brighton's other competitions. Now, we already know that they have finished second in the Premier League. They got 90 points and would qualify for the Champions League. In terms of the other competitions, they would get through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup, where they would face off against Chelsea and unfortunately get knocked out. In the Carabao Cup, they would be knocked out in the fourth round against Brentford. If we look in the data hub to see some of their other numbers as well, so they would average 2.45 goals per game. They would average 15.8 shots per game. They would have a pass completion ratio of 86.91%. If we go into their squad to just have a little look at the goals and assists then. So top goal scorer would be João Pedro with 28 goals. You'd have Ferguson and Welbeck on 15. Van Hecke and Veltman scoring 14 each. So another team who are utilising their central defenders in terms of scoring goals. In terms of the assists though, it would be 12 assists for Matt O'Reilly, 9 for Estupinan, 8 for Moda and Weaver. You would also have Kadioglu and James Milner chipping in with 8 also. The third and final team that we tested in this tactic would be Ipswich. Now, we know that they have finished 14th place in the Premier League. They would collect 40 points from their 38 games, and all importantly, they would avoid the drop. Going though into the other competitions they played in the FA Cup, they would be knocked out in the fourth round by Sunderland, and in the Carabao Cup, they would get knocked out by fellow tested team Brighton and Hove Albion in the second round. Let's look at the data hub to have a look at some of their numbers then. Goals per game would be 1.13, shots per game 8.37, pass completion ratio 81.8. Let's look at the squad just to show you where the goals and the assists would come from. So George Hurst would be the top goal scorer with 19 from 40 appearances. Jack Clark would get 9 goals. You would have Taylor and Delat both on 4 goals. In terms of the assists, you would have Leif Davis with 8, Schmodics with 6, Taylor and Clark both getting 5. So you've seen how all three teams perform. You've had a look at some of the numbers involved. Now let's have a look at this tactic. It's a tactic that, as was said in the little intro there, it's built on a back four, has a one-man defensive midfield, a three-man central line, and it has 2 players at the top of the pitch. Let's break this down then, position by position. Starting off at the back, you'll have a sweeper keeper on support. On the left, you have a fullback set to attack. There are 2 ball-playing defenders, both set to defend. And on the right, a wing-back set to attack. You have that one-man defensive midfielder set to support. You then have a Mazzala set to support, a central midfielder set to attack, and another Mazzala set to support. At the top of the pitch, you have a pressing forward set to support, and an advanced forward set to attack. Now, as with most of Knap's tactics, this comes with a custom tiki-taka tactical style. Its mentality is attacking. Its in possession will look like this. Its in transition will look like this. And its out of possession will look like this. So this tactic is the Knap Wheels of Fire 4-1-3-2. When put through its paces, it performed really well in the hands of Liverpool. It performed great in the hands of Brighton to get them up into second place in the Premier League. I don't think I've done too many tests where Brighton have achieved 90 points in the Premier League. And Ipswich, they avoided the all-important drop. So, a successful tactic for all 3 teams. Liverpool going on to complete a treble with the Premier League, the Champions League and the Carabao Cup. Brighton finishing on 90 points and Ipswich avoiding the drop. So, as I said, if you want to get your hands on this tactic, there will be a link to the tactic in the description down below. Don't forget to hit the like on this video and also subscribe to the channel, as I am on that goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers. A real big thank you for watching. I'll see you on another video very soon.